etc, etc. So ladder selector, horse races live info, we've already been through that. Quick results, we've been through that as well in the grid. Market information, again that's just rules and terms for the different races. Runner info, like so we've got the jockey name, all sort of stuff like that you might be looking at if you was betting. Projected SP, now it's not definite, but this is what the software calculates the SP is likely to be on specific runners at the start of the race. SP standing for starting price. So you can see it's over time as money comes in the market and the prices change, that will update and calculate it automatically for you. Traded and available, much like you get on the Betfair site. If you open up one of their graphs next to it, it just tells you the different money that's traded at the available prices, which is much like the column down here on the right. So that's the extras you get there on the Market Navigator. Further to that, we're now into the ladder itself. So I shall close this down now, just because that was there for the purpose of explaining. You know, it's basically the same but rotated 90 degrees, if you like. So the market and API status is part of the ladder interface as well. Time ticking down to the start of the race. We've got a little window here. If we want to open it up, we can open up the Betfair live video, which we'll do later on when we set up a profile. On the left, overround percentages. On the right, lay overround percentages. So sorry, it's back overround percentages, lay overround percentages. In the middle is your total hedge value across the whole market if you've got open trades. So you, instead of having to do it manually, say you're trading this runner and this runner, instead of hedging them both, you just click this one and it will hedge the whole thing across the whole market. Bottom left, you can see a little number flashing updating. That's calls to the exchange per second. Yep. And on the right is your latency, your own connection speed, if you like, in milliseconds. So there's mine sort of teetering around about 50, but it depends on your own personal connection. Coming over to the ladder again. So we know what the basic outline of the ladder as it is. We'll head through the menus in a second just to show you the different options you can change and set and sort of adapt it and customize it to however you might like. But looking at this now, I've just noticed the flashing numbers up here. I'll just explain what they are. So you can see that these little green number here and this little red number here, when I move my cursor over potential prices, it calculates for me. So what that's saying right now is my cursor's over a back bet of 2.16. So £10 at 2.16 would potentially give me £11.60 profit or £10 loss on the alternate runner. And each time I change the price, that figure will change as well. So it's just what they call the what if. You can turn that off because it can get a little bit, you know, flashing and all that, and you don't always really need to see it, to be honest. But that's the what if function, and that's why them numbers are changing when I put my cursor over. It's not me actually placing any bets. So you can see money coming into the market there as well. Just see that sort of teetered down, numbers flashing up. We'll show you how to change that now as well. So looking at the list of options you've got on your ladder interface, obviously closed market, show grid, all self-explanatory. On the grid we went through some of these as well. So we've got my markets, recent markets, different races, sorting the prices, much like the grid. You can sort them left to right, you know, price, alphabetical, whatever you want. Center all ladders. Now you see what that just done there? That just brought both the ladders into the center. So basically that's what that's doing there. If you you can assign some of these to hotkeys as well. So it just puts it back in the middle, just centers it for you. Hedge entire market we've been through before. Auto center, that's one you can turn on yourself or turn off, whatever you might like. And basically that just keeps the centered values like they are now, bang in the center all the time, no matter whether the price changes. Probably more useful for in-play trading, to be honest, when the market jumps around. Show traded with these little coins here. That's just the traded volume column here on the right. So if we take that one off, you can see that's disappeared. It's made the software a little bit thinner for a screen, but obviously it's something I want on there because I quite like that one. Show what if, that's the function we was talking about, having a cursor over the different prices. So I just turn that one off for you now. You see it's not there anymore. Personal preference, don't really like that one myself. Use global ordering. This one's just to say that it's going to replicate the orders. If you've got the grid and ladder open for a specific market, it will replicate it on both items. So it's just sort of globally the same. Switch primary market on mouse over selection. Again, that's when we've been over the grid. And this is where it starts to get a little bit different. So ladder, this is where the interesting stuff is. Advanced betting options, one click bet move. Basically that's just, you can turn that on or off, and that's a case of if you want to click once, you can drag your bets and move them in a oneer. Next one, drag and drop behaviour. Now there's sort of two schools for this. There's Bet Devil and the toy. So you can change. I'm trying to think which one it is now. You can change to either or, and basically they're expressed different ways on the ladder. So if we change it to Bet Devil, see if that changes it. That's not that one, is it? But basically what it's saying with the drag and drop is with the toy, I'll have it set to the toy. If you've got a bet in the market, say at 2.08 there, and you click on it and you just drag it down, it will actually move the bet. So it's just the different types of behaviour you can have with that, because with the other one, if you drag it back, it will actually cancel it rather than just dragging it back. Next option is on hedge, bet, drag and drop. Again, it's exactly the same sort of stuff as Bet Devil and the toy are different. It will cancel it and then hedge it up rather than changing the price. Cancel all bets at price using single double click. So for example, if I have 5 bets all on the same price, I could remove them individually by clicking once, twice, 3, 4, 5. Or if I've got 5 bets on there again, I can change it to the double click which we had in the menu there, and it will just cancel the whole lot in one go, which can be helpful if you've got lots of bets stacked on one price. Probably not the best practice, but you know, it will happen at times. Further down, bet submission, market make, market take. The difference with that one is basically just the different columns, like I said before with the toy and the Bet Devil. You'll see if I just change that for you now. Where was we? Sorry, advanced betting, market make, market take. So it's just changed the colours. It's inverted it either side because it depends. It's one to bear in mind if you're watching different YouTube videos of people trading as well. Some people have it set differently, and it's just whichever way you're used to seeing it really with the colours on your own. So if we just switch that back, as that's how I have it. Market make, you see, flip back to the blue on this side. Advanced betting. Oh, market hedge, just hedge. So we spoke about the entire hedge market on the grid one before. It's an option you can assign to hotkeys as well. There's 2 different options with each of this. You can either just hedge on the whole market, or you can do cancel all bets and hedge. That's the reason for that. If you've got unmatched bets laying about in the market, possibly close to the traded available price, then you're going to want to cancel them before hedging the whole market. Or if you just want to hedge it up as it is, then you can have that option selected there. Similarly on selection, it's just instead of being it on the whole market and sort of all 4 or 5 runners at the same time, it's just on that one selection that you're actually doing it on and trading it individually. So you can have just hedge on that as well, or cancel all bets and hedge as well. Bet persistence we've seen before, much like the site. Double click, submit second bet, do nothing. We covered that in the grid as well. On net stake, it's not one I've mentioned before. You can select net stake through the toy as well. So if you have an open position, if you have an open back bet of £100 and you need to close it out, your net stake would be £100. So you might flick to net stake sometimes just to close out your position without hedging. And what this is saying here, when you've closed out your position on net stake, do you want it to revert back to your normal stake set to the last stake, which would be, like, say for example in our case here would be £10, or do you want it to just do nothing? So I've got that set to the last stake because I want to revert back to my normal trading stake. Staking button types, there's obviously different types of staking. You can customize that and have several, or you can have it as just one type, which you'll see in a moment. So that's the advanced betting options menu. Further on from that, we've got your normal options. So round bets, you've got a little number 2 there. Obviously everybody knows the minimum bet on Betfair is £2, so that's why it's got that there. It's just rounding bets up to the 2. Centre ladders are in play. I mentioned the centre ladders before, and I probably said about it being probably more useful for in play people. You can change it to centre ladders in play. So as the race goes suspended and then in play, it will centre all your ladders in the middle for you. Scroll buttons, these little bits at the side, if you want to scroll up and down, you can click on them, or you can hit the little buttons, and that's basically just saying if you want to turn them on or off. Full stake shading, again, it's just another nice little feature on the eye of the ladder. So you can see I've got sort of darker colours for where there's actual stakes, lighter colours for where it isn't. So if we go and do full stake shading, it just changes it, so you see that's white now. And you can mess about with the various colours if you so wish as well. So we'll change that back. Options, keyboard shortcuts, mentioned them before, very useful. It's just a case of do you want them on or do you want them off. With them off, there's no little blue box around it. With them on, then it is. Obviously, I want them on because it's helpful. It makes it makes it a bit quicker for me, a bit easier at times, less stress. Price display, like we said before, standard, hybrid, complete. It's just a case of do you want to see everything or just the last three, or in the middle with hybrid. On selection change, using stake, yeah, we've already had that one as well with the grid. Just keep it carrying over your stake. Auto center at offset. So this one's probably more useful again for in-play as well. You can actually set your ladders so it's offset. Instead of the center actually being bang in the center, you could set it so the center is sort of 3/4 of the way up, and it would be the same on all of them. Just if you want to see further market depth, like I say, probably more for an in-play thing when it's bouncing around with the prices. Further to that, profit and loss.